morning. Thank you for coming and thank you for cooperating with us. As you can see, we are social distancing. I'm going to introduce you, and when I call your name, I'd like you to come forward and stand here for a moment to get some more instructions. This morning, we have Merle Johnson, who is running for and sought the position for the Ohio State Board of Education. Ms. Johnson, would you come, please? Your purple is very pretty. Thank you. I'd like for you to meet our timekeeper, who is Andrea Nelson Moore. She is going to cue you, and it's to the time you have. Okay? All right. You may remove your mask now.
All right. Am I going there?
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
You will have 5 minutes to present to the membership, 1 minute for your opening, 3 minutes for question and answer, and 1 minute for your closing. I will hold up my signs when you only have 2 minutes left, then when you have 1 minute left, and then your final 30 seconds. And once all of your time has elapsed, I will hold up the sign to stop. Just to make sure that we stay on cue, after your first minute for your introduction, I will hold up a finger to cue Avery, who will begin her question and answer period.
Thank you.
Okay? Whenever you are ready.
Good morning. First, I'd like to say thank you to the Black Women's Political Action Committee for allowing me this time to present why I feel I should be reelected to the Ohio Board of Education. I was first elected in November 2016. I taught in Cleveland schools for 40 years. I have always been a very strong advocate for public education. I served as Director of Community Engagement for the Cleveland Teachers Union for 26 years. And during that time, I was able to create many partnerships with community members. And so I felt that I was able to use those relationships to run for the Board of Education, because I wanted to have a stronger voice. I wanted to have a stronger voice to be able to advocate for our children, especially our children of color, who are continuously being left behind because of our inequitable school funding system in Ohio, which has been found unconstitutional 4 times by the Ohio Supreme Court.
Good morning and welcome. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
You know, school vouchers has always presented a concern for the community at large. What is your opinion about a school voucher and how would it improve educational opportunity and options for inner city youth?
Thank you for that question. First of all, school vouchers allow tax dollars to be used for private and religious schools. They allow our students to leave, our neediest students, to leave the districts that really need the money and take money away from the district to provide funding for private and religious schools. School vouchers are not necessary. As far as I'm concerned, if you want to have school vouchers, then they should be funded directly by the state of Ohio. They always talk about school choice, but when you look at the research, students who attend schools on vouchers are not doing any better than our public schools. And our public schools would do much better if they had the funding that they're supposed to have. The Ohio Supreme Court said there was an over-reliance on property taxes, which is why they ruled the funding system unconstitutional, but our legislature has chosen not to address the order from the Ohio Supreme Court in 2002 to overhaul the school funding system and to stop the over-reliance on property taxes, because that allows quality of education to be determined by a child's zip code. So our public schools are underfunded, and at the same time, the legislature chooses to take funds away from an underfunded system to allow children to leave the system and go to private religious schools, and that's just wrong.
And along those lines, House Bill 70 is a hot topic. Can you share with us what your observation and or opinion is about House Bill 70?
House House Bill 70 is an undemocratic law. It uses an invalid measuring system, our school state report cards, because our state report cards are based on tests. And when you give the same test to students who are attending school districts that have all different kinds of funding, Pepper Pike, a lot of funding because they have high property wealth, Cleveland, low property wealth, but at the same time, everybody gets the same test. That makes that measuring system invalid. And at the same time, the state makes a decision to take over a school district, which means they're snatching the power away from an elected school board, and they're not addressing what the real issue is, and that is poverty. Our children are just as smart as anybody else, but poverty creates barriers that children who are wealthier do not experience. And so instead of taking over the system, because the state doesn't know what to do, we don't have educators as legislators in most cases, so why should they be taking over a school district? They should provide the kinds of resources that our underfunded schools need, and they should stop taking the money away from children who are in the neediest school districts.
Okay, thank you. During the remaining balance of your time, can you share with us some additional information about who you are and what your passions are as it relates to education for our viewing public that will help us in terms of supporting you as you pursue being re-elected to the State of Ohio School Board?
Thank you. My passion is our children. My slogan is Ohio's children still need Merle Johnson. During the time that I have served, I have made the state board and the state aware of the kinds of services that we need to help our children, such as trauma-informed strategies, such as cultural competent teachers, and such as restorative practices in discipline, because we have so many children of color who are being suspended in relation to our children who are not of color. I should be re-elected because I have made a difference. I believe in racial justice. I was the person that really pushed for the state board to pass a racial justice resolution, which is incredible. It passed 12 to 5. We met until 11 p.m. in the evening because we had some members who didn't want to pass, but I was one of the people that helped develop that resolution and also helped it to pass. So I need to be there to continue to look out for our children.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here this morning.
Thank you for the time.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for cooperating, wearing your mask. And I'm going to introduce you. When you get here to the podium, you may remove it, and you'll get some other instructions. This morning we have Judge Anita Lassiter-Mays, who is seeking the position of judge for Ohio Court of Appeals in the 8th District. Judge Mays, come forward. This morning, our timekeeper is Andrea Nelson Moore, and she's going to give you the time allotment that you have to speak. And I know you will cooperate. Thank you.
Thank you.
You may remove your mask.
Okay.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. If I could just say one thing, the last name is Laster, so Anita Laster-Mays. Thank you.
Thank you. You will have 5 minutes to present to the membership, 1 minute for your opening, 3 minutes for question and answers, and 1 minute for your closing. I will hold up the sign when you only have 2 minutes left, then again when you only have 1 minute left, then again when you have 30 seconds left of your time. After all of the time has elapsed, I will hold up the stop sign, and just to try to keep us on task, after your 1 minute has passed, I will hold up my finger to notify Avery, who will begin asking her questions. So whenever you are ready, you will begin.
Thank you. Good morning. Again, my name is Anita Laster Mays, and I'm running for the Ohio 8th District Court of Appeals to retain my seat. I've been a judge for 17 years, and I'm here. I'm unopposed, but I think it's very important for me to come out and let individuals know that I want to retain my seat, that I love my job, and I love the law and administering justice. And I also, with organizations such as the PAC, want to make sure that I respect them and their influence in the public, to let people know that I'm out here, that I'm running, and that even again that I'm unopposed, that I want the public to know the importance of being an appellate court judge and the importance of my position in retaining.
Good morning and welcome. We're so happy to have you here with us this morning. Quick question. How do you respond to the fact that on your court, one panel of judges will decide a decision of law one way, and another panel of judges decide the same questions of the law in a different way?
Well, you know, just like with anything, everyone have, use their life experiences as they apply the law. However, we try not to put out decisions that are in conflict. And so what we do is we will study the law, we study the question, and then we will look to see if another panel have decided that exact question. Sometimes facts may dictate that you have a different answer, so it may be fact specific. But if it's the same thing, then we work to see if that first panel decided it correctly. And if we decide that they did not, then it will be answered in a different way. And then we have something called en banc, where when there's a conflict, the whole court have to meet to resolve the conflict so that we do not put out different decisions and have different law.
Having been a judge for 17 years, and I applaud you for that, you are familiar, if not friends, with most of the judges that are sitting on the bench as right now. If you were to make make a decision against one of the judges that you're familiar with, how would you respond to them questioning you not agreeing with their decision about that particular case that was presented to the appeals court?
I haven't had that issue. Most, the judges, they know and they understand that we all respect the law, respect the decisions, and since it is not just one person making the decision, they know it's not personal. And so I haven't had that issue. Even with the Supreme Court, if one of our decisions is overturned, it's just overturned. We just respect each other and respect the decisions.
In your hate crimes, what are some of the issues in balancing free speech rights against the need to control offensive activity?
Can you ask that again about the hate crime?
In the area of hate crimes, what are some of the issues in balancing free speech rights against the need to control offensive activity?
Oh, okay. Well, with the hate crimes and the free speech, as long as it's something that doesn't, I want to say create a riot or something like that, then you're allowed to say certain things. We do not want people to interfere with sensibilities of people. So it's a thin line. It's definitely a thin line with hate crime speech and regular free speech. And also you look at it, the actions behind the speech. So if someone call you a name and then jump in your face, it's just not the free speech. It's something to incite riot.
During the
Sure. I was born and raised in Cleveland. I am the seventh of 8 children. My father, he was very influential in my life. One of the things that he would say to us when we were younger is, what would you do when no one is looking? And so I always said that I've lived my life every day answering that question and make sure that I have integrity and be ethical and moral. I'm also a wife and mother of 3 children. I have a grandson who I definitely adore, and again, I love the law.
Thank you so very much for giving us your time this morning. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank you again for being with us this day for the Black Women's Political Action Committee's endorsement form. At this time, we're inviting Judge Wanda C. Jones, a position sought for Judge of Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas. And we thank you so much for practicing safety with your mask on, and once you come up, you'll be able to take it off. Thank you, Judge.
Good morning, Judge. My name is Andrea Nelson Moore, and I will be your timekeeper this morning. I will lay down the ground rules. You will have 5 minutes to present to the membership, 1 minute for your opening, 3 minutes for question and answer, and then 1 minute for your closing. When you're down to your last 2 minutes, I will hold up my first sign. I will hold up a second sign when you're down to your last minute. I will hold up a third sign when you're down to your 30 seconds. And when all of the time has elapsed, I will hold up the stop sign. Just to keep us on track, after your first minute, I will hold up my finger so you can see, and I can also, if you agree, we will begin the question and answer period, okay?
All right.
You're welcome to start when you are ready.
All right, good morning. My name is Judge Wanda C. Jones. I was appointed to the Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court General Division Bench in 2018 after running against a 27-year incumbent. I was appointed by Governor Kasich, and before my appointment and before the 2018 election, there were two African American judges on the General Division Bench out of 34. In my opinion, this is an appalling statistic, and it's for several reasons. One of them is because African American women are the most educated subgroup in the United States. The population of Cuyahoga County is over 30% African American. So there is a serious lack of diversity on the bench. Typically, the argument is we aren't qualified, or we haven't applied, or we haven't attempted to seek and get the position. Well, I'm here to say that I've been doing this job for 2 years, and I'm qualified, and I've done an excellent job, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome, Judge Jones. What factors should be considered in granting and setting bail amounts for defendants?
Well, one of the most important factors is the danger to the community. That is something, that I look at carefully. Whenever someone asks for a bond reduction, I try to get the hearing set very quickly, and I ask about their prior history of appearing for court, their prior history for complying with court orders, so appearing to probation, appearing for court hearings, and then whether there is a threat to the community if the person were to be in public. So those are the most important factors.
Sentencing is a very big issue in common pleas court. Some judges routinely sentence defendants for very long prison terms, while others do not. What is your philosophy on sentencing, and do you consider your sentences fair?
I take a lot of time on sentencing. I think that the sentence, and you have to, I follow the statute, and the statute requires that you impose the minimum sanction necessary in order to achieve the goals of sentencing, which are rehabilitation, protecting the public, and punishing the offender. And I consider all three of those things. So I don't know what other judges sentence on every kind of case, but it doesn't take long. You can ask criminal defense attorneys, and they probably could tell you. I believe my sentences are fair and they're in compliance with the law.
What have been your most effective methods of improving court procedures and efficiency?
Well, I've definitely been using Zoom with the pandemic. I think because we didn't have people being indicted and people weren't being arrested, now there seems to be an influx of that. So I've been using Zoom hearings in order to stay on top of it and to make sure that as soon as someone's booked into that jail, I can get a PV hearing set for them and get them moved out of the jail as soon as possible.
Thank you. You mentioned underrepresentation of African Americans on the bench, specifically females. Are you involved with providing learning opportunities for young college graduates to come and observe you in court?
Not only do I provide opportunities for young college students, college graduates, but I also do it for students in school. I have an intern who comes every Wednesday, African-American young lady. She comes in and she is getting a lot of experience. I'm having her do some things as well. I also have a relationship with Wade Park Elementary School, and those students, they've come into the courtroom. I go to their school. I'm trying to build relationships with young people so that they see that there are African American people in the courts that are doing good work, not just, people coming in front of the court.
Thank you. And during the balance of your time, Judge Jones, would you care to share some additional information about yourself and to the viewing public as you pursue being re-elected, although you were appointed, but be officially elected into the position of judge?
Sure. I would like to share the first experience that I had with the criminal justice system. That experience was related to a civil protection order. I was 14 years old. It was my summer before I started high school. The judge in that case was Judge Sarah J. Harper. I don't remember a lot of people's names, but I remember that name. I remembered it years later when I was appointed and I had an opportunity for her to join me for a luncheon the day that I had my oath, my appointment celebration luncheon. So representation matters. It stuck with me, and the way she treated me, my family during that difficult time stuck with me, and it's something I try to follow in her footsteps today.
Thank you so very much for spending some time with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Social distancing, and we are asking that when you come up, you can take your mask off, and when you go back to your seat, you can put it back on. Position he's seeking is Ohio House Representative District 9. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. My name is Andrea Nelson Moore, and I will be your time today.
Great.
I'm going to go over a few ground rules. We will have 5 minutes to present to the membership. 1 minute will be for opening, 3 minutes for question and answer, and 1 minute for your closing. I will hold up different signs. When you reach the point where you only have 2 minutes left, I'll hold up my 2-minute sign. Then again, when you only have 1 minute left, I'll hold up the 1-minute sign. When you have 30 seconds left, I'll hold up my 30-second sign. And when all of the time has elapsed, I'll hold up the stop sign.
And you bang a gong.
No, but you will go, you're time. It's time to stop. But what I will do to help us stay on task is after your first minute, I will hold up my finger. And that's to give you notice as well as Avery, who will begin asking the questions of you. Okay?
Great.
Whenever you're ready to start, you may begin.
Thank you and good morning. My name's Dustin Russell, and I, along with my wife and 2 children, soon to be 3, have lived in Cleveland Heights for the past 4 years. I'm running for state representative, so every person and family has an opportunity to succeed. To support this goal, we need strong economic development. This is part accomplished by making our state and communities attractive for business and residential development. I believe in a strong mentorship program for our youth, and upon election, I will call for a district-wide roundtable action conference of community groups, nonprofits, and charities to focus in on how we can reach our youth and at-risk population more efficiently. Finally, I believe we need a focus on good government practices. We should trust through transparency, ensure our elected officials are doing honest work for the right reasons, and elected officials are serving their constituents.
Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
We appreciate you being here. And sounds as though you're expecting an addition to the family, so congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, there's been a lot of racial unrest, not only in our country, but also in Cuyahoga County. Do you support declaring racism a public health crisis in the state of Ohio? And if so, why? And if not, why?
Thank you for that question, and thank you for the work that the Black Women's Political Action Committee has done since 1983 and this forum since 1984. Specifically to that question, you know, I think when we use the word racism in a system, we have to ask ourselves, well, then who is the racist? Is it the doctors? Is it the nurses? Is it the administrators? Who is it that's causing a problem in our public health system? I think if we step back and we take a look then and evaluate, well, we have African American women that experience issues in hospitals. You think about the Serena Williams story after she had her baby and the very difficult track that she went through. Maybe there's a cultural disconnect. Maybe there's a societal disconnect. And I don't think it's prudent to call it racism, but it is something we need to address.
Okay. Small businesses in all communities were forced to close due to the pandemic. Some have since closed permanently. What actions would you take if you were elected to the position that you seek to propose to grow those jobs that was lost during the pandemic?
So I've talked with some small business owners that are really struggling right now. And, you know, when you talk about bars and restaurants, they have licenses. So those that are still open, I think we need to take a look at waiving those fees, extending the renewal periods. We could do some indirect things like that. We can also give small business loans and utilize federal resources out to these small businesses, not just the large ones. And I think we really need to look at the effectiveness of some of these orders that force some businesses to close at 2 o'clock in the restaurant industry specifically. That is really hard hit right now. Small businesses, but specifically in the restaurant industry and entertainment industry.
The CARES Act provided an additional benefit to eligible workers. The benefit ended July the 25th. Do you agree with the proposal to give $300 additional benefits to those individuals that was impacted by that? And if so, why and or why not, or should it be higher?
I agree with it, and I think it needs to get done. I think Congress at the federal level needs to do their job and pass something for the people that have been affected by these orders.
Should the benefit be greater, larger than $300?
We've got to make sure that we're not paying people more money to not work than to work. That could have an impact, so we'd have to take a look at that further.
Well, we want to thank you for being here, and for the balance of your time, would you share additional information about yourself and to our viewing public where they can get to know you as the individual who is seeking to be elected to the House of Representatives?
Thank you. If I got 1 minute, I'll just close with a story about Jarena Lee. Jarena was the first woman licensed to preach by the African Methodist Episcopal Church in 1819. She also was the first African-American woman to have an autobiography published in the United States. She believed that God had spoken to her and called her to preach the gospel. However, there was no provision for women to preach at that time. Her story is an example of the power of believing in ourselves. She went on to begin her missionary work. The power and faith in our lives, and despite arbitrary barriers, the opportunities before us in this great country to improve our community.
Thank you so very much. We really appreciate you spending some time with us this morning.
Thank you.
Introduce you, and when I call your name, if you would come forward to the podium and stand here for a minute to get a few more rules and regulations. This morning we have William Beaudry, did I pronounce it correct? Thank you, who is running for a position of judge at the Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas. Come forward, sir. Once you get here to the podium, you may remove your mask.
Thank you.
And our timekeeper is Andrea Nelson Moore. She will be giving you cues as to much time you have. So we ask you to respect that. Thank you. Come forward.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ms. Nelson.
Good morning.
Good to see you again.
How are you? So you will have 5 minutes to present to the membership, 1 minute for your opening, 3 minutes for question and answer, and 1 minute for your closing. When you are down to your final 2 minutes, I will hold up my first sign, then I'll hold up the second sign when you're down to your last 1 minute, and when you're down to your last 30 seconds, I'll hold up another sign. When all of your time has elapsed, I will hold up the stop sign, and just to make sure that we stay on cue, after your first minute, I will hold up one finger to give you notice as well as to Avery, who will ask questions of you at that time, okay?
Very good, thank you.
All right, you are welcome to start. Whenever you're ready.
Good morning, everyone. My name is William Beaudry. I've been a magistrate of Cleveland Municipal Court for 18, almost 19 years now, and doing the hard work of a judicial officer, determining guilt or innocence in criminal cases, liability in civil cases, handling sentencing, giving people a second chance whenever I can, imposing jail time when I think I must. Many judges go their entire careers without ever actually having a case officially reported as Ohio precedent. I've had 21. And what I'd like to do now is to bring my experience, my skills, my passionate commitment to justice to a higher court. Before I was a magistrate, I had the honor of being appointed by the late Stephanie Tubbs Jones as an assistant county prosecutor. I served there for 6 years, most of that time in the felony trial unit. Before that, I was a lawyer with legal aid down in Tuscarawas County, providing civil legal aid to people who could not afford lawyers of their own. Most of my work down there was helping victims of domestic violence get civil protection orders and also working on utility law cases. People whose utilities had inevitably been shut off at the worst time of the year, their electricity in the summer, their heat in the wintertime. Several of those cases resulted in class action lawsuits that resulted in relief for thousands of Ohio consumers. If I had the honor of being elected to the Court of Common Pleas, that is the countywide trial court here in Cuyahoga County, what I'd want to do is build on the reforms already underway in that court. Bail reform. I've been trained in the Arnold Foundation risk assessment tool. It's a smart, data-driven way to make sure we're not keeping people unnecessarily locked up before trial. Strengthening the specialized dockets of the court. And seeing that justice is done, as I've been doing for 18 years now, and hope to continue doing on a higher court to be of service to more people. So thank you for your consideration. If you'd like more information, I hope you'll check my website, votevodry.com.
You mentioned bail reform. What tools would you use to identify and setting bail for someone that would appear before you?
The Arnold Foundation risk assessment tool, as I mentioned, is something that the Cleveland Municipal Court has been using for several years now. It was suggested to us by the Toledo Municipal Court, which has found it to be a win-win-win situation. It costs less money, it leads to a higher rate of return for people, and it typically will lead to better outcomes than simply having a cookie-cutter approach to setting people's bail. We all know that we should not criminalize poverty. Nobody should be held unnecessarily before trial in jail simply because they're unable to post bail. And the Arnold Foundation Risk Assessment Tool assures us that unless somebody goes a long way towards assuring us, no tool is perfect, but it goes a long way towards assuring us that unless somebody is a definite flight risk or a definite threat to somebody else in the community, they ought to have reasonable bail or even personal bond. We all know the impact that it can have in somebody's life to be denied bond as to their employment, as to their housing. They could even lose custody of their children, and that has a tremendous ripple effect throughout the community.
Okay. Our organization believes that someone in your position as a magistrate and a judge has a commitment to do voluntary service in the community service. Are you involved in such community service, and if so, can you share with us what that is?
Sure, I'd be glad to. My wife Susan and I just celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary. We've been long involved with our church, which is St. Paul's Episcopal Church. I've served on the vestry, which is sort of a church lay leadership there. I'm a lector, that is somebody who is a lay reader. I'm an usher there, and very involved in the Adult Forum Committee, which every Sunday morning through Zoom now, because of this unfortunate pandemic, make sure that people have a way to connect to the church, to learn more about their faith through the forums that we present. I'm also very active in the Cleveland Metropolitan Bar Association, which is the countywide bar association, and I'm involved there as a member of the Standards and Fitness Committee to make sure people who want to take the Ohio bar exam are well suited to the profession, that they don't have personal problems, psychological problems, debt issues, which might mean harm to their clients down the road. Those are two main ways, although there are others in which I'm involved in the community.
For the remaining balance of your time, is there anything that you would like to share with us about yourself and to the viewing public?
Sure, I'd be glad to. As I mentioned, my wife and I just celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary. We're blessed by 3 wonderful sons, 2 of whom are in college now. I'm proud to be the endorsed Democrat in my race and to have the support and endorsement of U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown, Congresswoman Marcia Fudge, GPAC, FinPAC. I have the highest rating in my race from the Cleveland NAACP. Although they don't endorse candidates, they do evaluate us. And I have 3 excellents and 2 goods from the Judge for Yourself coalition, which rates judicial candidates. I hope to earn your support as well. I'm proud to be here before the Black Women's Political Action Committee today and look forward to having your support going forward. Please again check my website, votevodry.com, if you'd like to learn more. That's VOTEVODREY.com. And many thanks for having me here today.
Thank you.
for coming and thank you for cooperating with us with your mask. I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Tom Jackson, and he is running for Ohio Senate District 24. All right, Mr. Jackson, you want to come forward? And if you will, once you get to the podium, you may take your mask off. But before that, we have to give you some instructions about your time. So, Andrea Angela Nelson will give you the instructions, okay? And once you get here, you may take your mask.
Good morning, I'm Andrea Nelson, and I'm going to be a timekeeper this morning. You will have 5 minutes to present to the membership, 1 minute for opening statement, 3 minutes for question and answers, and 1 minute for your closing statement. When you're down to your last 2 minutes, I will hold up my first sign. When you're down to your last 1 minute, I'll hold up my second sign. When you're down to your last 30 seconds, I'll hold up my third sign, saying 30 seconds. And when all of the time has elapsed, I will hold up the stop sign. Just to make sure that we stay on task, when you're into your 1 minute, at least when you get to your 1 minute, I'll hold up one finger to notify both you as well as Avery, who will be asking your question, the questions of you. She's right here. So whenever you're ready to start, please begin.
I'm ready to start. So good morning, everybody, and thank you for having me here today. And more importantly, thanks for everything that you've done over the years, and just the way you're handling things throughout these trying times. Watching things play out this morning, I'm just really impressed and happy to be here. So congratulations to a very well-run event so far. So again, my name is Tom Jackson, running for the State Senate in District 24, which is one of our beautifully gerrymandered district that runs around the outer suburbs of Cuyahoga County. So if you can picture Westlake and Rocky River to the west, running all the way down past the airport, through Strongsville, across the valley, over to Solon where I live, and all the way up to Lyndhurst and Mayfield Village. So a complete wrap of the county. And I've been a State House watcher for years, and it's been a long time in coming for me to be here today, working as an activist and an organizer locally to get people elected to the school board, the city council, the mayor's office, and even the Ohio House of Representatives. And our current state senator is just out of step with the constituencies here in Cuyahoga County. He's far too cozy with the special interests of the Householder Administration, DeWine Administration, Trump Administration, and we need somebody who represents the people here. I married my wife here, I raised my kids here, I have a business here, and I've been involved in our local Chamber of Commerce for just about 10 years now, so I understand small business. I started my career in the nonprofit sector, and I had a 16-year career with Progressive Insurance in corporate America. So I'm well positioned to bring the type of leadership, critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making to Columbus to represent the folks of District 24.
Okay. Good morning and welcome. Should you be elected to the position that you seek, what are your top 3 priorities during your term? What would be your top 3 priorities, your goals?
So over a year ago, as I started on this journey for the state Senate, there were a number of issues that I thought would be the top of people's minds and we should address. And in the course of this year, those things have changed. So as we talk to people, I'm heading out to the suburbs again today to drop off literature across the district. And what we hear from people on the street and what we hear when we do the voter contact on the phones and through text messages and through Zoom calls is that everything now is through the lens of the coronavirus. So how does coronavirus affect our healthcare? How does coronavirus affect our economic stability? How does it affect our schools? How does it affect our essential workers? So where we thought we might be talking about fair funding of public schools, or that we might be talking about access to health care, now we have to look at that through the lens of a global pandemic. And then the other movement this summer clearly has been the need for attention paid to racial justice. So again, how does that affect our healthcare outcomes? How does that affect our educational outcomes? How does that affect our frontline and essential workers? So the things we're going to need to address have been turned a little bit because of the coronavirus, but I still think we need to look at the inequalities in education and fix the funding issues. We need to look at the healthcare outcomes and why it is simply tied to zip codes. And I think we need to look at taking care of our families and essential workers on the front lines.
Okay. You mentioned businesses and you're a business owner. Small businesses in all communities were forced to close due to the pandemic. Some have since closed permanently. What actions would you propose to grow jobs or to revive those businesses?
So we had to shut offices down like everybody else, and we had to figure out ways to continue to work. And being in the insurance business, we've been a little buffeted from the immediacy of some of the impact, but I know it's going to roll through our industry over the next 6 to 18 months. People are voting with their feet. So if they're not confident in going out to support small businesses, if they don't have the financial stability to spend in our small businesses, it's just not going to happen. So we need to create that confidence. We need to manage the situation with the COVID virus, and we need to just instill confidence in people that it's under control and that they'll be safe going about their business.
Thank you. During the balance of your time, would you care to share some additional information about yourself to the viewing public?
So it was 2 years ago that I was here with the candidate that I was supporting in 2018. And it's been working with candidates like Phil Robinson. It's been working with candidates in Solon to flip our city council. It's being involved with the volunteers on those campaigns and hearing from voters and people across Cuyahoga County that really motivates me to get involved. Sitting back and watching, participating in the voting process, becoming an activist, running the local Democratic Club has just given me more and more insight and more interest in trying to do something. And there's just too many people that are not willing to step up and do something. And I'm willing to step up and do something. And we just need to be able to point out the contrast between what's happening with the leadership in Columbus and how we can take advantage of Election Day to not only change the priorities, but to change the people and to bring about much needed change to the status quo in Ohio.
Thank you so very much. We appreciate you spending some time with us this morning.
You're welcome.
Vote. Good morning. Thank you for cooperating with us, wearing your mask. You see, we are social distancing today. And once you get to the podium, you may remove your mask. This morning we have Pamela Hawkins, who is running for the position of Judge, Ohio Court of Appeals.
Brian Sweeney, State Representative.
Paul?
1 second.
Good morning. Thank you for for cooperating with us, wearing your mask. We see you are social distancing as well as we are. Once you get here, I'm going to introduce you, and once you get here to the podium, if you will stand, you have another bit of information to receive. So this morning, we'd like to introduce Bride Sweeney, who's running for the position of the Ohio House of Representatives, District 14. Welcome.
Thank you.
Before you get started, I'd like to introduce you to Andrea Nelson Moore, who is our timekeeper. And she's going to give you some instructions as to how much time you will have, okay?
Thank you.
You may remove your mask when you get here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. You will have 5 minutes to present to the membership, 1 minute for opening, 3 minutes for question and answer, and 1 minute for closing. When you're down to 2 minutes, I'll hold up my 2-minute sign. When you're down to 1 minute, I'll hold up my 1-minute sign. When you're down to 30 seconds, I'll hold up my 30-second sign. And when all of your time has elapsed, I will hold up the stop sign. Once you hit the 1-minute mark of your opening, I will hold up one finger to notify both of you as well as Avery, who will begin her question and answer period for you. Whenever you are ready, you may.
Well, thank you so much for hosting this and for, of course, doing the social distancing and making this work for your group and also for the candidate. So I am currently the state representative, Bride Sweeney. I am the youngest member of the General Assembly, the Democratic Caucus, and also the first woman to ever represent my area at the State House. I've been serving for about a year and a half, although I'm young. I have accomplished a lot. I want to continue to serve my community in House District 14, which is the western portion of Cuyahoga County. One of the biggest issues I focused on, myriad of others, is voting rights and voting access. As we know, as we can see from the shenanigans going on at the federal level, that's not exclusive to just the federal level, but it's also happening here in Ohio. I've pushed back against our Secretary of State last year on the voting purge that specifically has impacted Cuyahoga County more than any other state. It impacts young people, people who are being removed from the rolls, and also impacts minorities. And to me, when we want to see change, it starts with the very fundamentals, having the right to vote, because we can want school funding, we could want change in our police departments, in our communities. It all starts with making sure we have the right to vote.
Good morning and welcome, and we do commend you for being the youngest in this group of legal people who are going to guide our state. Quick question. How many pieces of legislation have you introduced on the floor?
I want to say 15, maybe more.
And how many made it past the Senate, that was passed by the Senate?
So I've introduced about 15. I've had 2 bills that passed the House, and I've had 1 bill that's actually made it to its 3rd hearing in the Senate and passed out.
Can you share with us what those were?
Yeah, so the first bill was a bipartisan bill. Being one of the youngest members, higher education and understanding the difficulties of taking out student loans and the need to make sure we have students who are graduating with less than graduating on time. My bill said that if you take English 101 at Tri-C and you transfer to Cleveland State, that we're going to make sure that that is happening. We know it's not. We know that schools are not accepting those credits for a variety of different reasons. And it really makes sure, another component of that bill said that all public universities have to audit the records for the past 5 years, that if anyone, you might have tried to get the bachelor's degree but had to drop out for whatever reason, you might have enough credits in an associate's degree. But individuals don't know. It's very bureaucratic. So we're putting that on the universities to say, you have to look back and continue to look back to notify individuals if they're very close to getting an associate's, maybe they're 1 credit away and they don't know, or maybe they didn't get that bachelor's, but they can actually get a certificate, and that can actually very easily capture thousands of students in Ohio who don't have any kind of credentials. So that's what that piece of legislation does.
Okay. There's a lot of unrest in our country, specifically involving relationships with African Americans and the police. The African American community has been faced with many fatalities at the hands of a police officer. As a result, many of African American citizens distrust the police and the system that holds them accountable. What is your opinion or position regarding police reform?
Yes, thank you so much for that question. When I look at this issue, I really, as prior to serving, I was a member of the staff of the General Assembly. So I was there serving in 2015 when Tamir Rice was shot and killed in Cleveland, where John Kasich, our then governor, went around the state, came up with these bipartisan reforms, and it is now 2020 and I'm serving, and not one of those has been implemented. So I really look at this as a failure of politicians to not be bold enough to stand up to police unions, to not be bold enough to pass real reforms that can help people, because it's been 5 years, this was bipartisan, we had the governor on our side, we couldn't get it done. So I think that's where this, I really do blame a lot of this on politicians for not making this the forefront, and that's what I am going to try to continue to work on, holding myself and other public officials accountable for those actions, or inactions.
Okay. Also associated with that is an issue of declaring racism a public health issue. What is your observation and or opinion about that?
Yes, well, I'm a proud co-sponsor of that resolution that's been in the House of Representatives. I think that we can't ever fully address this issue of police brutality, and it's so much larger than that. We see it in our schools, we see it in the way that we remove voters from the rolls, that racism is woven into the fabric of our society. If we don't ever acknowledge it, we can't ever address it, the real root of this problem. So to me, that's one of the easiest, most common sense things we can do, and I'm going to continue to push for that bill, which has not even had a hearing in the House.
Okay. Well, for the balance of your time, would you care to share additional information about yourself to the viewing public?
Sure. I was born and raised in Cleveland my entire life. I attended John Carroll University, studied political science. I swore I'd never run for office. I thought I wanted to be behind the scenes, so I went to Columbus. I worked for a variety of different members in the Ohio Senate Democratic Caucus, and being there really cemented my belief in wanting to work for the state government, because I saw that people knew who their mayors were, they knew who their congresspeople are, and no one really understands state government and how much that impacts people. So after working there, I said, I was seeing my words being spoken on the Senate floor, and I came back home to my community and I said, I worked there, I ran offices before, and I think, although I am young, that I can serve and be a voice for my community. So.
Thank you so very much for spending some time with us this morning.
Oh, thanks for having me so much.
All right.
Thank you for cooperating with us. You see, we are social distancing, and we do so appreciate that. I'm going to introduce you, and once I call your name, I'd like you to come forward. You may remove your mask once you get to the podium. This morning we have Pamela Hawkins. Oh, you're very lucky. That was my maiden name, Hawkins. The position that she is running for is the Ohio Court of Appeals in the 8th District. Ms. Hawkins, would you like to come forward? And you may remove your mask once you get here. And our timekeeper, Andrea Nelson Moore, is going to give you some cues as far as what your time is like, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Good morning. You will have 5 minutes to present to the membership. 1 minute, the first minute is your opening, 3 minutes for question and answer, and your last minute will be for your closing statement. When you're down to your last 2 minutes, I will hold up my first sign. When you get down to your last 1 minute, I'll hold up a second sign. And your last 30 seconds, I'll hold up a 30-second sign. When all of the time has elapsed, I'll hold up a stop sign. What I will do to make sure that we stay on task is after your first minute, I will hold up one finger to let you know that you used 1 minute, and also to notify Avery who can begin her question and answer period. Okay? Whenever you are ready.
Thank you very much. Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to participate in this endorsement process. My name is Pamela Hawkins, and I am running for the 8th District Court of Appeals. I have spent the last 16 years as an attorney. Prior to that, I was a social worker working with adult and children with mental health issues. Since I became an attorney, I spent a little over 4 years with the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office in the Children and Family Services Unit. And then I started in private practice, went to the prosecutor's office. I have now returned to private practice because I felt that I could do more in the private sector, helping families who are having to deal with the agency, who are having to deal with criminal issues, and therefore I felt that was more where I could be. I spend most of my time working with low-income families who have found limited access to the courts, and I believe that the best way to help them access is through representation.
Good morning and welcome. We appreciate you spending some time with us this morning. As a candidate who's running for the Court of Appeals, you are charged with the responsibility of reviewing trial court decisions. With you having been an attorney, a practicing attorney for an extended period of time, you are familiar with quite a few, if not all, of the judges that are currently sitting on the bench. But as a Court of Appeals judge, would you be able to stand on the side of the law, even if it means reversing a decision that one of the judges that you may know have made in a case?
I would have no problem standing on the side of the law and reversing a decision. In fact, in my private practice, I do appellate work. I have appeared before the 8th and 9th District, and as a prosecutor, I actually got the Court of Appeals to reverse a decision they had made in one of my prior appeals.
Right. How do you respond to the criticism that a Court of Appeals judge needs to have been a trial court judge first in order to understand what goes on at the level of the appeals court?
I don't believe that being a judge necessarily gives you everything you need to be a judge on the Court of Appeals. Having done appeals, part of that job is to review everything that will go before the court and make arguments related to what you believe was done incorrectly at the trial level, how the law was applied incorrectly, and then the Court of Appeals then makes that decision. I believe having that experience, being on the other side, gives me a perspective of what the judge needs to do.
Search and seizure laws in this country are always being challenged in the Court of Appeals. Is it okay for a vice police officer to stop a vehicle on a traffic stop and then search all occupants and the interior and the trunk of the car?
My opinion, and this is my personal opinion because judges, of course, are not allowed to express opinions, I believe they have to have probable cause. They had to have probable cause to stop the vehicle. They have to have probable cause to ask the people to get out of the vehicle. They have to have probable cause to search each individual in the vehicle, and without permission, they have to have probable cause to search that vehicle. If they do not have probable cause at each step, then I do not believe that that is a valid search.
Thank you. What other information would you care to share with us about yourself and to the viewing public as you seek to be elected to the Court of Appeals?
I believe that my background qualifies me to be a judge. The Supreme Court says you only need 6 years of practice. I waited until I had 16 years of practice because I believe I needed more trial experience to understand exactly how things worked. Everything changes, so yes, it's going to change. But I believe at this point in time in my career that I bring a social services background, so I understand the system. I understand low-income populations. While I myself was not raised low-income, that's the population I have spent the majority of my career working with, and I believe firmly that they need to have better access to the court and to the Court of Appeals, and that is a process I believe needs to be helped because it is a cumbersome process and it is very limiting to people with limited access to technology.
Thank you so very much for spending some time with us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right.
Good morning. Thank you for cooperating with us. You see, we are social distancing, and your mask is very appropriate, and we thank you. I'm going to introduce you, and then when I call your name, I'm going to ask you to come forward to the podium. Once you get to the podium, you may take your mask off. This morning we have Lisa Woods, who is running for the position Ohio State Board of Education. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Once you get here, we have a little more information for you. Our timekeeper, who is Andrea Nelson Moore, is going to give you cues as to how much time you have, and then from that, you're on your own, okay?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So you will have 5 minutes to present to the membership, 1 minute for your opening statement, 3 minutes for question and answer, and 1 minute for your closing statement. When you are down to your final 2 minutes, I will hold up my 2-minute sign. When you're down to your 1 minute, I will hold up the 1 minute sign. When you're down to your last 30 seconds, I will hold up the 30-second sign. And when all of your time has elapsed, I will hold up the stop sign. When you're completing your opening after 1 minute, I will hold up one finger to notify you that 1 minute has passed, and to also notify Avery, who will be asking you questions. Okay?
Okay.
So whenever you are ready, please go ahead and start.
Gosh, I'll never be ready. Okay. Hi, my name is Lisa Woods. I live in Medina. I'm a mom, a widow, and the state representative for the District 5 School Board. I am finishing up my 4th year in my first term, and it has been an incredible experience. I come as a mother, mostly. I have 5 children, and I still have 1 left in school, so 4 down, 1 to go. As a mom coming into the State Board of Education, I find that it's huge. It can be confusing and hard to navigate. And I would think that most parents would experience that. And one of the things that I like to do is to try to bring it down to a level where people can understand. Education really and policy should be easy to understand. And I think sometimes we get a little caught up with too many of the details and compliance issues, and it makes it hard for teachers to teach freely.
Good morning, and thank you for being with us this morning. House Bill 70 is a hot topic. What is your view of House Bill 70?
When I first came onto the board 4 years ago, this was the hot topic. I'll just have to say that I think that it was wrong in just about everything, in the creation, how it got pushed through, and then how the punitive measures that it comes down on schools. I was interested in East Cleveland City Schools when I first came on. Even though it was outside of my district, it was the closest one to me that was going through academic distress. And I got to know some of the people there in East Cleveland and understand the situation. And I just think it was wrong to put that school into academic distress. I don't think the measurements truly were the types of measurements that we should have used to make those decisions.
What do you think about the state test for children, and should the state test continue to be a part of the school process?
We need accountability, and I understand that, but our state report card, along with the tests, are broken. I don't agree with the measurements. I don't believe that they measure true education. That the report card has been probably my biggest challenge and my first challenge. When I first came onto the board, I would go to schools and ask them what are the top 3 things that they have problems with the state of Ohio and the Department of Education. And the report card and testing were always 2 of those 3. And so I've been quite an advocate over these years, trying to make sense of it and trying to minimize it and possibly do a whole overhaul of our accountability system.
For the balance of the time you have remaining, would you care to share some additional information about yourself and to the viewing public?
Sure. Again, I think my strongest asset for being on the state school board is being a parent. And I think students and parents are the biggest amount of the constituents. And I feel like I do have that voice. I am even a struggling mom, a widow, 5 children. I have a child that has special needs. And so I understand how complicated life can get. And I just, it bothers me when we have to get tied up in so much paperwork and different things to push. We really just want our kids to learn the basic fundamentals of education, math, English, writing, all that. Sometimes we get too far, and I would like to bring it back to our core mission. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for spending some time with us today.
You may put your hand.
We're going to ask that you will come forward, and we're going to introduce you. And once you get to the podium, you will remove your mask, okay? This morning we have Sharon Kennedy running for Judge, Supreme Court of Ohio. Okay, come forward. And first of all, before you get started, I want you to meet our timekeeper, who is Andrea Nelson Moore. She will be giving you the amount of time you have available to talk. And thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You may take your mask off.
Thank you.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
You will have 5 minutes to present to the membership, 1 minute for your opening, 3 minutes for question and answer, and 1 minute for your closing. When you are down to your last 2 minutes, I will hold up my 2-minute sign. When you're down to your last 1 minute, I will hold up my 1-minute sign. When you're down to your last 30 seconds, I will hold up my 30-second sign. And when all of the time has elapsed, I will hold up my stop sign. When you're into your 1 minute and 1 minute has passed during your opening, I will hold up one finger to notify both you as well as Avery, who will be asking the questions right here, so that she can begin her question and answer here.
Thank you.
Whenever you are ready, you are welcome to begin.
Thank you. Well, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be with all of you today. My name is Sharon Kennedy. I am the 154th Justice of the Supreme Court of Ohio and the 9th woman to serve. I'm running for re-election to continue my service. I have 34 years of diverse service in the justice system, but that's the work that I do, whether that's been as a lawyer or as a trial court judge or now justice. But the main part of my work is the work that I do off the bench, helping those who are in need, identifying those needs and addressing them by creating community partnerships. As a practicing attorney, I work with juvenile court to find continuing education for our youth, trying to tackle the issues that presented in their lives that actually compelled them to be in the criminal justice system through the delinquency actions. As a trial court judge, recognizing that there were barriers and hurdles to employment, I had the opportunity to create a partnership with Jobs and Family Services to break down the barriers and hurdles to employment, to make sure those who were restored, formerly incarcerated, found a pathway to employment beyond that look of just a felony conviction. Now, as a justice, I have worked with the Veterans Initiative, Lean Forward, advancing the treatment of veterans so that substance abuse and mental health issues are being identified. And that work has led me into engaging in re-entry. The veterans model that is run through our prison system in the state of Ohio is an amazing program that if we could then extrapolate that for all of our citizens who are being restored, formerly incarcerated, they would have a pathway to never come back to the justice system again.
Good morning, and thank you for being here with us this morning. And we commend you for the work that you've done over the several years.
Thank you.
Bond reform has always been a question. What is your view on bond reform, on restructuring bonding guidelines?
Restructuring?
Bond reform.
Bond reform. So the bond issue that comes through the courts is by way of the General Assembly has created a statute, and then we create rules regarding that. But I think what the question is really asking me is, where are we going with reform? Individuals, everyone needs to realize that in the Ohio Constitution, there is a guarantee of bond and surety as a right. As a right of that then instructs the General Assembly that everyone is entitled to bond. I think the reform that people are looking for is making sure that when that individualized determination of bond is being considered, that it's really about whether or not the individual is a flight risk, danger to community, and to make sure that judges are actually making that decision based on those factors alone and not ability to pay.
question. This is regarding the Fannie Mae Lewis law in Cleveland. That law has been dismissed. Can you help us to understand what your position was in voting to dismiss that law?
So the Fannie Lewis law put two laws into conflict. Whether the Ohio Constitution's commandment superseded home rule authority as it relates to a law that then was enacted by the General Assembly. So the court were examining three issues. What does the Ohio Constitution say? What does the Home Rule Ordinance say? And what does the General Assembly's or statute that is a general application statute, what does that say? As it relates to home rule, no one can trump the Ohio Constitution. And what the court found is that what the General Assembly enacted was in comport with the Ohio Constitution, and that the Home Rule Ordinance measure could be overcome by the state law and the constitutional provision. It was a question of what's in the constitutional.
Okay, thank you. For the balance of your time, would you care to share with us some additional information about yourself and to the viewing public as you pursue being re-elected to the Ohio Supreme Court?
What I would want all of the voters to know is that, to me, the role of the judge is divided in three issues. Compassionate justice for all. Compassionate because as a judge, we must always remember that we have an obligation to make sure that we are caring for the people standing before us. While justice, the law itself, may command an outcome based on the law itself, it never leaves behind the person who's standing there. Whether it's mental health issues, substance abuse issues, housing issues, or re-entry. We have an obligation to use compassion, and a compassionate heart is given to us by our Creator to make sure we are doing what is best. And equality for all ensures that the law that applies to me applies to you and everyone else as well. As we look forward to reform, I believe procedural fairness and hearing what people actually believe their system gives them becomes important. My name is Sharon Kennedy, and I ask you for your vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'd like you to meet Anita Brent, who is running for the position at the Ohio House of Representatives, District 12. Ms. Brent, would you come forward, please? When you get to the podium, we ask that you will remove your mask. And also, before you start, our timekeeper, who is Andrea Nelson Moore, will give you your time allotment as far as your speaking is concerned, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
You may remove your mask.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You will have 5 minutes to present to the membership, 1 minute for your opening, 3 minutes for question and answer, and 1 minute for your closing. When you're down to your last 2 minutes, I will hold up the 2-minute sign. When you're down to your last 1 minute, I will hold up the 1-minute sign. When you're down to your last 30 seconds, I will hold up the 30-second sign. And when all of your time has elapsed, I will hold up the stop sign. After 1 minute has passed, I will hold up one finger to let you know, as well as the Avery know, that 1 minute has already passed, and she can begin the question and answer period. When you're ready, you are welcome to start.
Hi everyone, my name is Juanita Brent. I am
currently the state representative for House District 12. I'm so excited to be participating in the endorsement process of the Black Women's Political Action Committee. I'm not only just participating, but I'm also a member. So I'm just very proud of what the organization has done. When I look at what I've done within this past 2 years, I've kept my commitment of communicating within my community. I think sometimes when people run for office, they give people very high, lofty goals that they're going to save the world. I'm not looking to be your savior, but I'm definitely looking to be your champion. And so communicating has been my biggest key within my time period. That is by having town hall meetings. Within 2 years, I've had 6 town hall meetings. I just had my first all virtual town hall meeting. Also making sure I have a district directory so people can have access to information about who are the elected officials and community organizations within their local community. And then also making sure I co-sponsor bills such as racism as a public health crisis, paid family leave. I'm also doing many other bills that just help bring equity within life, and also just making sure I am responsive to things here within the community.
Representative Brent, we are very well aware of how active you are with your constituents and various issues that plague our community. What I'd like to ask of you is which piece of legislation that you introduced and passed that you are most proud of?
Well, I'm going to start off with House Bill 285, and that's the driver's amnesty bill that actually became a law. One thing, when you become a legislator, they always tell you you're never going to have bills that's going to become a law because it's so hard to do that. But the driver's amnesty bill, if you are driving and you lose your license for whatever reason, your license becomes suspended, this program will allow you to have your suspended license fees reduced or completely eliminated. We have to remove the barriers when it comes to people accessing the ability to drive, which is so important because here within the state of Ohio, we have the 14th highest ridership rate within the nation, but the 49th when it comes to money we put into public transit. People need ways to get around. You have to have a valid driver's license in the state of Ohio, so we have to remove that barrier.
Great. Do you support or oppose public funding for reproductive health services for Planned Parenthood?
I believe we have to have a reproductive justice sources for Planned Parenthood. They provide so much more than what people just think they do. They provide service for birth control. You can go there for a regular physical. They provide so many different things when it comes to reproductive health. People have to have access. There should not be a barrier within our communities. I'm so fortunate Planned Parenthood is in my district of Bedford Heights right now, and we are fighting every day to make sure their doors are staying open, that people have access to their resources. So yes, I am for making sure they are receiving the necessary funding for reproductive health services for all people.
Now, the current pandemic has created a serious blight in our community. What steps have you taken to assist businesses that have closed as a result of the pandemic?
So that's a tricky question when it comes to businesses that have closed, because we're still trying to figure out which businesses have closed. And so sometimes we don't find out a business that's closed until the building is up for rent and moving on. I will tell you what I'm doing for businesses that are currently open, that are struggling to stay open, working with Jobs Ohio, making sure businesses have PPE. We just had a huge event where we passed out masks and hand sanitizer and N95 masks to business owners so they can still be able to have their employees working with them. Also helping businesses get those necessary loans. A lot of people didn't even know about the process of how to get a loan. And they're also working with people who are recently unemployed, because everyone's unemployment flows through their state rep's office. So if you're having a problem with unemployment, it goes through your state rep's office, and we are funneling that information to Jobs Ohio to make sure people are receiving that information.
During the remaining balance of your time, can you expound about some things about yourself that you would like for us to know and the viewing public?
I am here to make sure that you have access to the State House. The State House is the people's house. And if you don't feel like the government is working for you, then we just have to have those conversations on how we can make sure you have access. I will continue to have town hall meetings. I will continue to make sure I have office hours where you can just come, vent, complain, fuss. I work for you in every aspect of it. And so even though I'm introducing laws to make sure I'm making things more equitable for the people I represent here in Ohio, but my first job is to listen, and my second job is to act upon what the people of House District 12 want me to do.
Thank you so very much. We appreciate you spending some time with us and continue to do your excellent work.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for coming. I'd like to introduce to you, I think this is the wrong card, Stephanie House.
That's her.
Oh, sorry, Stephanie House, thank you. I'm going to ask that once you reach the podium, if you would be kind enough just to remove your mask so we can hear you. So come on forward. And I would like for you to continue. I would like for you to meet our timekeeper this morning, who is Andrea Nelson Moore. And she's going to give you all the cues for the time that you have, okay? Thank you so much for coming. And you can remove your mask when you get here.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You will have 5 minutes to present for membership, 1 minute for your opening, 3 minutes for question and answering, 1 minute for closing. When you're down to your last 2 minutes, I'll hold up my 2-minute sign. When you're down to your last 1 minute, I'll hold up my 1-minute sign. When you're down to your last 30 seconds, I'll hold up my 30-second sign. And when all of the time has elapsed, I will hold up the stop sign. After 1 minute has passed in your opening, I will hold up one finger to let both you as well as Avery know that she can begin the question and answer period.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready, you may start.
Right. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Stephanie House, and I have the honor of serving as state representative for Ohio's 11th House District that covers the east-south side of Cleveland, Garfield Heights, and Newburgh Heights. I am seeking re-election for hopefully which will be my 4th and final term in the Ohio House of Representatives. My time in the General Assembly has been focused on 3 main areas. First being working to do livable, wageable jobs opportunities. The second being focusing on education, specifically around STEM education and early childhood education. And the last point has been focused on health and wellness, working on prevention. What has that looked like for me? On the health and wellness side, I have successfully passed this General Assembly, House Bill 11, which was a $5 million investment focusing on infant and maternal mortality, giving support to what we know as centering group prenatal care, helping with tobacco cessation. And so I really look forward to having a conversation about other things that I would plan to do if I'm successful in being reelected and hopefully earning the support of the Black Women's PAC.
Good morning and welcome. We appreciate you coming to spend some time with us. You just mentioned one piece of legislature that you've been successful in getting passed. Is there another piece of legislature that you have been successful? And if so, can you share with us what that is?
Yes. So another piece of legislation that I have been able to get passed, I have been able to get legislation acknowledging sarcoidosis, sarcoidosis awareness. Many times people don't know it is a disease that is the scarring of the lung and lung tissue, and this was a disease that many people, if you don't know Bernie Mac, it was a disease that he actually killed. And when you look at the studies who it impacts, sarcoidosis is more likely to impact African Americans. And the more that we can build awareness to ensure that people just understand to take the signs that you see medically important, reach out, get support, and get help, you can at least try to help make sure people get the appropriate support and treatment necessary. Although it's not a cure, you can get some help and support during the time if you're diagnosed with sarcoidosis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The CARES Act provided an additional benefit to eligible workers. That benefit ended July 25th. Do you agree with the proposal to give $300 additional benefits? And if so, why and or should that amount be higher?
Well, I absolutely think that the benefit of the initial CARES Act from the federal government that was passed was definitely needed within our communities. The proposal, I think, does not go far enough. When you look at the $600 additional supplement that many workers got, and people, it was an argument about it, but when you look at the baseline, the fact that people were getting that $600 additional supplement, and that was more than what they had. That's an additional, $2,400, but that you can't sustain a family with that, right? And some people's things, that was supplementing the $100, $150, $200, and I'm talking about people that I represent. I represent the poorest district in this state. Household income is $24,000. That's nothing. That's nothing. And so whatever we can do to help ensure that families are able to keep a roof over their head, keep food on the table, and to ensure that you can have transportational options, that's what we can do. And I think we owe that to the people who are investing that are investing to make our economy work. So we need to give it more.
Thank you. During the balance of your time, Representative House, would you care to share some additional things about yourself to the viewing public?
Yeah, so basically, we know at this time of the COVID-19 pandemic, and as well as the civil unrest that we are seeing due to police brutality, I have been a strong voice working to have criminal justice reform in our state. I am sponsoring legislation specifically focusing, acknowledging racism as a public health crisis, and I really would like to encourage people to sign on and to support HCR 31 and really working so we can truly ensure that during this time we can really work to just address, I would say, America's original sin, which is racism, and move forward to ensure that everyone has safety and security.
Thank you so very much for being with us here today.
Thank you so much.
All right.
I'd like to introduce you, and I'm going to ask if you would come forward now and stand for a few minutes. Come forward. I'd like for you to meet Joan Sweeney, who's running at the Ohio House of Representatives, District 7. Thank you for coming. I'm going to ask that once you get here to the podium, you may remove your mask. Okay. But before you get here, our timekeeper, who is Andrea Nelson Moore, is going to give you some information as far as your timing. Excellent. Okay? So you may come forward and you may remove your mask. Thank you very much.
Good morning. You will have 5 minutes to present to the membership, 1 minute for opening, 3 minutes for question and answer, and 1 minute for closing. When you are down to your last 2 minutes, I will hold up my 2-minute sign. When you're down to your last 1 minute, I will hold up my 1-minute sign. And when you're down to your last 30 seconds, I will hold up my 30-second sign. Finally, when all of the time has elapsed, I will hold up the stop sign. After 1 minute of your speaking, I will hold up my 1 finger to let you know 1 minute has elapsed, and to also notify Avery that 1 minute has elapsed, and she can begin her question and answer period. So whenever you are ready, you are welcome to start.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Joni Sweeney, and I am the candidate, and I'm running for state representative in House District 7, which are the southwest suburbs of Cuyahoga County. They include the cities of North Royalton, Strongsville, Berea, Olmsted Falls, and Olmsted Township. The reason that I'm running for office is because our state house is out of balance. I am from Northeast Ohio. I was born and raised in Lakewood, Ohio. I attended the University of Dayton and the Ohio State University, and I served in our military, the United States Army, for 25 years. After my time in service, we moved back home, and I was very disturbed to see what was happening in the state of Ohio and how people were not being represented. The policies that came out of our legislator, clearly did not represent the people of my district nor the people of Ohio. I feel that because of our one-party rule, individuals are very comfortable in their seats, and they do not work for the constituents. So I felt compelled to run for office, and that's why I'm running today.
Good morning and welcome. Should you be elected to the position that you seek, what are your 3 goals that you want to successfully accomplish during your term?
The 3 goals that I wanted to successfully accomplish during my term start with education. We have to fix funding for education. It has to be equitable, sustainable, and legal. Education is the basis of everything we do. It is imperative that we have equitably educated individuals across the district, across our state. The second piece is linked to education, but it's ensuring that we have good paying jobs and grow businesses in a fashion that supports economic opportunity for all. As we educate individuals, we can move them into a sustainable workforce, but we have to ensure that there is good paying living wage jobs for those individuals. In order for those 2 things to happen, the third priority is we must end gerrymandering. Gerrymandering and ensuring that the boundaries are drawn correctly is imperative to ensure representation. Right now, we find that representatives are picking their voters and voters are not picking the representatives. And we have to fix that first. And to do that, we equitably redraw the lines, fix education, and then grow the economy.
Okay, thank you. We are seeing things in our nation that we've never witnessed before, at least while it's not in our lifetime. One is a lot of civil unrest, specifically with the African American community and the police. The African American community has been faced with many fatalities at the hands of a police officer. As a result, many African Americans distrust the police and the system that holds them accountable. Do you agree that police reform is necessary? And if so, what would your position be in regards to that?
So, as I said, I was in the United States Army for 25 years, but in addition, I served as a police officer for 4 years out in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Policing is an incredibly difficult job. However, it is imperative that we are representatively taking care of constituents. The job of the police is protect and serve. We must reform and ensure that we reform the police, but it has to be done in a couple ways. And absent from the argument is the fact that our legislators are making bad laws that police, who are the face, have to enforce, and our judiciary is applying they are applying the penalties for these laws inequitably. So it is disproportionately impacting the African American community, and we have to reform that. It is absolutely essential to fight the reform and fight the systemic racism that has become prevalent. And I fully support reforming the police across the board.
Thank you. In the balance of your time, can you share with us some additional information about yourself for our viewing public?
The last couple things I would just like to review is that I work for people. I am a career public servant, not a career politician. My job in the military has prepared me to always work for and with the team to ensure we achieve the difficult mission and to ensure we represent everybody here. So you can find out more about me and our campaign at jonieforohio.com. And I work for you. And when I'm elected to the State House, I will ensure that I work for you.
Thank you so very much for spending some time with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'd like to introduce this morning Mr. William Robinson, who is running for the position at the Ohio House of Representatives, District 8. Mr. Robinson, would you come forward, please? And I'd ask that once you get here to the podium, if you would remove your mask. But before you get here, there's a little information we want to give you. Our timekeeper, who is Miss Andrea Nelson Moore, is going to give you the time allotted for you to speak, okay? So you may come now and you may remove your mask.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, you will have 5 minutes to present to the membership. 1 minute for your opening, 3 minutes for your question and answer, and 1 minute for your closing. When you're down to your last 2 minutes, I will hold up my 2-minute sign. When you're down to your last 1 minute, I'll hold up a 1-minute sign. When you're down to your last 30 seconds, I'll hold up a 30-second sign. And finally, when all of your time is elapsed, I'll hold up a stop sign. After 1 minute has passed during your opening, I will put up one finger to let both you know and Avery know that 1 minute has passed, and she can prepare to start asking you your questions.
Okay.
So, whenever you are ready, please begin.
Good morning. My name is Phil Robinson. I serve as state representative for House District 6, which includes 18 communities in the southeastern part of Cuyahoga County, from Lyndhurst to Solon, all the way over to Independence and Broadview Heights. My wife and I and 2 little children live in Solon in a product called District 6 home. In 2018, you all helped us make history by flipping our seat Democratic for the first time in almost 40 years, and also becoming the first African American to serve as state representative in House District 6. Since being in the state legislature, I've been able to raise salaries for teachers, to be able to increase money to stop maternal mortality for children and babies, and also been able to increase about $620 million worth of funding additionally for wraparound services in schools. And finally, proud to author my first bill that was signed into law by Governor DeWine, which creates more jobs by matching companies with people who need certificates and training. So it's been an honor to have the Black Women's Political Action Committee endorsement in 2018. I'm coming here before to ask for it again, and I believe together we continue to work to make sure that we renew Ohio's promise that people can live, work, and retire with dignity in the state of Ohio.
Good morning, and thank you for being with us.
Good morning.
Having served 1 term, now you're seeking a second. What are your proposed goals that you desire to accomplish during a second term should you be elected to that?
I appreciate that. There's 3 areas that I would like to focus on. One is fighting for quality education, not only in District 6, but for all public schools across the state. Specifically, I would like to ensure that we put money behind full-day kindergarten in the state of Ohio, and also making sure that we make pre-K services available to all 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds in the state of Ohio. And then also finally fixing the unconstitutional funding model for schools in the state of Ohio. We've done House Bill 305, and it's a chance to get that done in the next GA. Also want to expand access for health care, especially for women and people of color and veterans in the state of Ohio, addressing prescription drug costs, and also making sure that pre-existing conditions are not held against Ohioans in the state of Ohio. And then finally, making sure we create economic opportunities for all people in the state of Ohio.
Can you share with us how you stay connected with your constituents?
Sure. So I made a commitment when I ran 2018 to be very active in my community. I've done over 15 town hall meetings in District 6. I've also conducted monthly office hours, rotating in libraries across the district. Also, we've done virtual town hall meetings and forums for people that have discussions. We do a lot of casework and caseload and things for constituents in District 6. And then finally, we also are always a phone call away or text away for our constituents.
Having been a legislator for this past term, how many pieces of legislation have you introduced in the capital city, in the state?
Sure. So I've introduced 7 pieces of legislation. One's been signed into office. I want to underscore being a super minority. It's very difficult, to get something passed in the House and then the Senate and to the governor's desk. So proud of 7 bills that I've introduced, and I believe 5 of the 7 have been passed out of the House, and one's been signed into law. I've also been a co-sponsor of 66 pieces of legislation. There are various stages. Some have been passed by the House, some are away to the Senate. I've also either sponsored or co-sponsored about 15 resolutions.
And which piece of legislation was actually signed into law?
House Bill 4. which essentially what it does is a lot of companies need to get people to work, but they don't have the certificates of training that are just really quick to do, but they aren't able to do it. They didn't know how to go in the state. We streamline all that into the Office of Transformation in the state of Ohio. So a small business owner only had to call one person, get the training, get the person trained, and get them into their job as soon as possible.
During the balance of your time remaining, can you share some additional information about yourself and to our viewing public?
Sure, absolutely. So again, State Representative Phil Robinson, representing House District 6. My wife and I live in Solon in the community. I'm also Chief Operating Officer as well for an education organization called Education Board Partners as well. In addition to that, I grew up here. My parents are Black African Americans, came up from the South to the North for opportunity and stayed for the community. And I truly believe, as Barbara Jordan says, that the state of Ohio can still reach its promise. And that's what I'm working towards. And I hope to get your endorsement and continue to stay represented for House District 6.
Thank you for spending some time with us this morning.
All right. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'd like to introduce to you this morning Lisa Forbes, who is running for Judge, Ohio Court of Appeals. I'm going to ask that when you get to the podium, if you would be kind enough to remove your mask and come forward, and we're going to give you, may come up now, and we're going to give you a little more information. Our timekeeper, who is Andrea Nelson Moore, is going to give you your time allowances, okay? Okay. All righty.
Thank you.
Good morning. You will have 5 minutes to present to the membership, 1 minute for your opening, 3 minutes for question and answer, and 1 minute for your closing. When you're down to your last 2 minutes, I will hold up the 2-minute sign. When you're down to your last 1 minute, I'll hold up the 1-minute sign. When you're down to your last 30 seconds, I'll hold up the 30-second sign. And finally, when all of your time is left, I'll hold up the stop sign. After 1 minute, I will hold up one finger to let you know that 1 minute has passed, and to also notify Avery that she can prepare to begin your question and answer period. Okay?
Thank you.
So whenever you're ready, please go ahead and start.
Good morning. I'm Lisa Forbes, and I'm running for the 8th District Court of Appeals. I'm running because the Court of Appeals is the last stop for justice here in Cuyahoga County. So it's important that whoever sits on that bench be somebody with experience handling the kind of complex, complicated legal issues that the court is expected to resolve, and also somebody with experience and expertise in our community. I'm that candidate. The reason I say that the Court of Appeals is the last stop for justice is because the Supreme Court of Ohio picks and chooses what cases it hears. It does not look over the shoulder of the judges on the Court of Appeals to make sure they're doing their job well. So it's up to the judges to be sure that they are. My 28 years of experience practicing in complex litigation, dealing with complicated legal issues in courts all over the state, has given me the experience and expertise to handle complicated legal questions. But more than that, to reach legally correct but also just and fair decisions requires an understanding of the community. I have that experience, and I'm happy to talk to you about it.
Good morning, and thank you for being with us this morning. You mentioned you have 28 years of legal experience. So this question leads to the responsibility role as an appellate judge. How do you respond to the criticism that a Court of Appeals judge needs to have been a trial court judge first in order to understand what goes on at the appeals level of court?
I think that the answer to that question is really straightforward, in that having been a litigator working in the courts, not only the trial courts all over this state, but also the courts of appeals, I actually have extensive experience in understanding the types of legal issues that the Court of Appeals is asked to resolve,
as well as what is useful and helpful to litigants and lawyers who are receiving those decisions. The Court of Appeals really has two important frontline jobs. The first is to resolve the legal question for the litigants before the court that day. But the second is to provide guidance on the law so that future litigants have clear statements, clearly articulated principles that can help guide future behavior. My experience as a lawyer, I've seen firsthand how a well-handled Court of Appeals decision can change a life, can change it for the better. And I've also seen firsthand the kind of confusion and havoc that a poorly written or poorly reasoned Court of Appeals decision can have, not only on the litigants in the case, but on the body of law in general.
Thank you. As a Court of Appeals judge, now with 28 years, you know majority, if not all, of the judges that currently sit on the bench at Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas. But as a Court of Appeals judge, you are charged with the responsibility of reviewing the trial court's decision. Would you be able to stand on the side of the law, even if it means reversing a decision of a judge that either you know and or you're friends with?
Oh, certainly. The job of a Court of Appeals judge, or really any judge, is to have loyalty, to have fealty to the law. And I can unequivocally state that I would. There are, I think, embedded in your question is sort of a technical legal issue, which has to do with the standard of review that any judge or any case that applies in any case. And that is whether it's you look at the record fresh, or whether you are looking to see whether or not the trial court judge abused their discretion. I understand those different standards because I have been applying them in cases, litigating them for my clients for many, many years.
For the balance of your time remaining, would you care to share some additional information about yourself to our viewing public?
Sure. I have, as I mentioned earlier in my opening comments, I am not only very active and engaged in the courts as a lawyer, but I'm active and engaged in our community, doing things like for decades serving in the voter protection program, making sure that everybody who comes to the polls has an opportunity to vote and that their vote counts, because there's nothing more sacred to our democracy than the right to vote. I don't just tell you I care about it, I show you I care about it. I've been doing it for decades. Same thing with my service on the board of the Centers for Families and Children, making sure Head Start services, job training services, and healthcare services are available to the most vulnerable members of our community. I do that because it's the right thing to do. That would guide me as a judge as well. I will do the right thing for the citizens of Cuyahoga County. Thank you.
Thank you for spending some time with us this morning.
Thank you.
District 15. And I'll ask you, sir, that when you get here to the podium, if you would remove your mask. And so you may come forward, and we have a few more things to say to you. Our timekeeper, who is Andrea Nelson Moore, is going to keep you cued in as to how much time you have to speak, okay?
Thank you.
All right, so it's all yours.
Thank you.
You may remove your mask.
Thank you. Hello and good afternoon, or almost good afternoon. Oh, sorry.
Good morning. I want to give you a few ground rules of your time. You will have 5 minutes to present to the membership, 1 minute for opening, 3 minutes for question and answer, and 1 minute for closing. When you're down to your last 2 minutes, I'll hold up my 2-minute sign. When you're down to your last 1 minute, I'll hold up my 1-minute sign. And when you're down to your last 30 seconds, I'll hold up my 30-second sign. Finally, when all the time has elapsed, I will hold up my stop sign. After 1 minute has passed during your opening, I will hold up one finger to make sure that both you and Avery are aware that 1 minute has passed and she can prepare to start asking her questions of you. Whenever you are ready, you may begin.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for the Black Women's Political Action Committee for doing this event. It's important to do these events and engage with the communities throughout Cuyahoga County to understand issues important to everybody. In order to be a good representative, I feel it's important to speak with all different members of our community. House District 15 is comprised of several communities, the bulk of which is Parma, Ohio, and then also a big chunk of Cleveland, Ward 13, which is Oak Brookland, and sections of Ward 14 and 12 in Cleveland, also Brooklyn Heights and Heights. So it's a pretty big district, obviously, like everybody's district, mostly comprised, like I said, of Parma. This is my second term I'm running for. I ran in 2018. I replaced Representative Celebrezzi on the ballot. He withdrew in August of 2018. I serve on the Criminal Justice and the Civil Justice Committees in Columbus. I also serve on the Financial Institutions Committee, which is primarily banking issues, as the ranking member, and also on the Public Utilities Committee. Looking forward to go back to Columbus to continue focusing on issues like healthcare, our schools, and how we fund them to make sure that our schools are properly funded and try to reduce the reliance on property taxes, and continue investing in our economy, in our infrastructure, our roads, our bridges here in Northeast Ohio.
Thank you and welcome for being with us this morning. The racial climate in our country is seriously unstable, to the point where racism can be perceived as a public health crisis. What is your response to that?
Well, I agree. I think the folks that reject the idea that systemic racism is a problem are part of the problem as well. I'm proud to have co-sponsored the resolution at the State House declaring in Ohio that racism is a public health crisis. We see it every day now that we're with this pandemic. The African American community has been hit harder than many communities across the state of Ohio. So that is a particular concern. But I completely agree with that statement, and I think it's up to us as legislators to address those systemic racism problems. I can give you an example. Something as simple as the Confederate flag. Representative Brent on the House floor back in June, there was a bill to modify how we handle our county fairs, and Representative Brent brought a motion to the floor asking that we amend the bill to ban the Confederate flag sales and memorabilia at our county fairs. And I stood up in support of that. I think symbols and those types of things that persisted continue to create problems in our society. We have to address, and I said it at the time, racism and slavery is the original sin of this country. We've never fully rectified those issues, and we see them today in our interactions in our communities, between our police, between our citizens, and as legislators, we need to be mindful that when we're legislating, we're addressing those. That's why I'm also proud to have jointly sponsored the bill with Representative House to be a human impact statement, so that anytime criminal justice bills are passed that impose additional penalties, that there are impact statements that are drafted that are nonpartisan, that can actually understand what the impact on different communities are going to be. Because inevitably, a lot of these laws that have been passed out in the State House adversely impact African American communities more harshly than they do other communities.
Okay. Colleagues around the state have opened up the doors for students for the semester as a result of the spike in COVID-19 cases that could potentially spread throughout the community. Should in-person classes be paused for this semester and other alternatives introduced to the students?
Well, I was disappointed that the state of Ohio and the governor and the Ohio Department of Education didn't offer a solution for districts and left districts to their own devices. So districts across the state have had to find a way forward that fits their community. And certainly there are differences between counties and different communities in those counties as to how they're handling it because of the way the numbers of COVID cases in the communities. So I understand that people want to dictate in their own community what's best, but I also think we need to be following the science on this thing. And I have a personal stake in this. My partner is a teacher, and so I understand from her perspective what they're seeing in the classrooms in a hybrid model. It's very difficult. I understand the importance of being in the classroom, but we have to do it in a way that's make sure that the students, the staff, and everybody involved are safe.
During the remaining balance of your time, would you care to share some additional information about yourself and to our viewing public?
Sure. Well, I was actually not from Parma. I wasn't raised in Parma. I was actually raised in Wycliffe. I was raised primarily by my single mother, raising 3 kids. I spent most of my career as an attorney. It's hard to believe I've been a practicing attorney for 19 years. But my heart is with the people. Having been raised by a single mom, I understand the challenges that people have, just working class families trying to get ahead. And as a legislator, I've been mindful of that in terms of trying to create opportunities for people across the spectrum so that people can get ahead. You shouldn't have to work so hard just to stay afloat. You should be able to work hard to get ahead. So that's been my focus whenever legislation is being conceived or considered. That's my focus, to make sure that we're doing right by the people of Ohio, not special interests here in Ohio. And I go back to my childhood and how I was raised and all the lessons that I was taught to do right by my community, and that's what I'm trying to focus on.
Thank you for spending your time with us this morning, afternoon. So you split it up for us.
All right, thank you very much.
All right.
Ladies of PAC, Black Women's Political Action Committee, this has been a very strong endorsement process today. This has been a wonderful opportunity we've had. And what we're going to do is that we're going to do our voting on Zoom, not by percentage, but by what you put in. Whatever the vote is, that's what it is. And if you have any questions, you can call into the numbers that was given to you. But at the bottom of your screen, you should see Zoom. Now understand that you have until 1 o'clock to put your votes in. After 1 o'clock, we're shutting down because that's going to be over the time limit. So please do not get up from your seat. Take the time and put it in. This is very, very important. I want to thank our Political Action Committee for the fine work that you've been doing. You've been working for over 6 months to make this happen, and we're just so excited and so happy. Have a good day, ladies, but please put your vote in. Thank you.
Action Committee truly rose from the hills of disappointment the fall of 1982. The now retired judge, the Honorable Una H.R. Keenan, was defeated in her quest to be elected to the Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court.
The hope and enthusiasm surrounding her candidacy inspired a group of women to convene a brainstorming session at the home of Barbara H. Boyd. They analyzed Unikeenan's defeat as well as strategies for future campaigns. The results were sobering. They found that women faithfully served as the backbone of a man's campaign, but when she chose to run for an elected office, there was no support offered. It was clear political reciprocity was reserved for male candidates only. This dilemma became a rallying point, and with wisdom, vision, courage, and hope for change, 8 women met for the first time in February 1983 to discuss how Black women could impact critical issues through elected and appointed leadership. Those women were Margie Catherine Adams, Patricia Ann Blackman, Barbara H. Boyd, Sarah J. Harper, Shirley Hawk, Una H.R. Keenan, Denise McCall, and Phyllis Burton Scott. On April 2nd, 1983, the first officers of the Black Women's Political Action Committee were sworn in by the Honorable Jean Merrill Capers. The ceremony was attended by what was now over 40 members. The first state-registered political action committee of its kind in the nation was born. Their objectives were aggressive and community-wide. The Black Women's Political Action Committee is a nonpartisan organization of progressive Black women who express the need to impact the political arena, to give financial, moral, and physical support to Black women interested in public office, as well as those presently serving as elected officials, to provide support for women and candidates who are sensitive to the needs of people, especially Black women, to continually educate members in all areas of politics, and to bring commitment to issues of the broader base community to be addressed by the Black Women's Political Action Committee. Their purpose is clear: an organization to ensure the participation of Black women on a political, economic, and social level, as well as to promote and facilitate participation in the government process. So, after 32 years, what have they accomplished? The list is long and impressive. And guess what? If I were you, I'd hold on to something.
In 1983, the PAC took a bus trip to join the 20th anniversary March on Washington in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. In 1986, Una Keenan was appointed by Governor Richard Celeste to be judge of East Cleveland Municipal Court. In 1987, the first annual fundraiser was held. It was a salute to Congressman Louis Stokes and held at Bell's Party Center. In 1988, the PAC held a black and white ball, a memorable event celebrating 5 years of growth. In August 1988, the PAC honored George Forbes for 25 years of public service. On August 30, 1989, the PAC sponsored a City of Cleveland mayoral candidate forum at Liberty Hill Baptist Church. The mayoral hopefuls included Biddy Bonanno, Timothy Hagan, Reverend Michael Lord, Ralph Perk Jr., and Michael White. This forum was broadcast by major media organizations. In 1990, Patricia Ann Blackman became the first Black American elected to the Court of Appeals of Ohio 8th Appellate District. In 1990, Shirley Hawk became a member of the State Board of Education. April 28, 1990, the PAC celebrated its 7th anniversary, saluting Black women in action. In 1992, Barbara Boyd became mayor of the city of Cleveland Heights, the first Black female mayor in the state of Ohio. In 1996, the PAC celebrated its bicentennial by honoring women then and now. This event was held at Cleveland State Mather Mansion and was attended by over 200 guests. October 17, 1998, was designated as Black Women's Political Action Day by the City of Cleveland Mayor, Michael R. White, 2003. In collaboration with the Greater Cleveland Voter Registration Coalition, over 5,000 new voters were registered. In 2003, the PAC held a private reception for Jeanette Bradley, the first female Black American Lieutenant Governor of the state of Ohio. 4 Black Women Political Action Committee members won their race for Judge of Cleveland Municipal Court in the November 2003 election. In 2004, documents were placed in the Western Reserve Historical Society archives located in Cleveland, Ohio. These documents memorialized the 20-year history of the Black Women's Political Action Committee. In 2005, a candidate forum was held at Myers University Club. September 8, 2009, the PAC hosted a forum for the public to hear candidates for Cleveland mayor. Attendees were incumbent Mayor Frank Jackson, seeking his second term, Kimberly Brown, Laverne Jones Gore, and Bill Patman. October 2009, the PAC held a forum to discuss the Cuyahoga County Reform Initiative. These were Issue 5 and Issue 6 for the 2009 November election. 2012, the PAC continues its fundraising efforts by reestablishing its annual golf outing. In 2013, at the Harvard Community Services Center, the PAC continues the tradition of endorsing candidates who represent the mission and purpose of the organization. In 2013, the PAC celebrated 30 years of paving the way and making a difference. On March 28, 2014, the Black Women's Political Action Committee is inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame.
So you see what's been done. Why are they still relevant? And what do they hope for the future? Their answer? We will continue on our journey to change using wisdom, vision, courage, and hope. We must continue our support of the Black community by encouraging involvement where decisions are made. We must hold fundraisers so that the PAC can financially support candidates who understand the agenda of the Black family. We must physically provide campaign support to incumbents and new candidates. Because of our election successes, we must instruct new candidates on how to run successful campaigns. Voter participation is the backbone of the election process. Each of our voices must be heard. So our voter registration and education efforts must continue. We must be present when decisions are made that affect our families and communities, so that our efforts to become members of community boards and committees must continue. Finally, our youth is our future. Our goals for them are the first Black woman mayor of Cleveland, the first Black woman governor of the state of Ohio, and yes, the first Black woman president of the United States of America. To make these goals a reality, we must instruct and guide our youth on the education, skills, and methods needed to become a productive member of society. This is your community, your future. Join us. The PAC has supported our members in successful elections as